and welcome to this this episode of the Panenka View podcast. I am your host Prasad, and joining me today on the show, Prashant from Ultra Sports India, Ajay Menon from Forza India Academy, Siddharth Savapati, founder, Sporco and CFCI Community Football Club India. Now, as we all know that the world is dealing with a pandemic right now, and in some countries they have flattened the curve. Somewhere we are coming back on track. But the main agenda to get this episode and to reach out to all of you is some of the problems, some of the financial problems that the grassroots academies throughout the country are facing. And what better time to discuss this than now? Because as a lot of financial packages, a lot of relief packages are announced, there's one sector that's completely ignored, and that is the grassroots sectors in the country. So talking on this episode will be these three gentlemen who've seen this in and out, who are experiencing this since the past 3 months. So without further ado, let's get Prashant. And Prashant, let's start off with some of the common questions that we all have been facing, some difficulties that grassroots club have faced during this lockdown.
Yeah, so Prasad, like you correctly mentioned, the past 3 months have been very difficult, and especially at the grassroots level for the academies, who are working with the children, because it's not that sports at the grassroots is a very organized sector. It's unorganized, and not that we have a lot of revenue streams. Like some of the more matured ecosystem mein, there are grassroots academies or academies who deal with children. They have multiple revenue streams. So here our ecosystem is not that mature. Our only revenue stream, 90 to 95% of the revenues rely on the fees that the children pay when they come and train with us. So of course there has been there has been absolutely no coaching going on for the past 3 months. So, all the revenue streams have choked. One good thing is that most of the academies are asset light. So, the only thing that we really have to look at is, the coaches' salaries and how we deal with that. But then overall in the past 3 months, I would say the revenues have definitely, just stopped. It's just at zero, because there is no activity and there is no other sources of revenue apart from football coaching.
Prashant, I'm sure that the others also would like to join. I would like to pose the same question to Ajay and Siddharth. If Ajay, you can go in next, and Siddharth, if you can follow up the difficulties that grassroots football clubs have faced during this lockdown, particularly yourself. Ajay, I've been seeing the posts on Instagram that, even before this vocal for local went viral, we have always supported, and that is why having you, let us talk about the difficulties Forza India Academy has faced during this lockdown.
No, similar as Prashant mentioned that this is the only source of revenue for football coaching academies, and it's like completely come to zero. It's not like it has dipped or gone down by X percentage. It is zero. So of course without any cash flow, it becomes difficult to pay the coaches, the support staff who are there, and we completely understand that it is unsafe to go out and play and stuff like that. So a lot of academies have now shifted to online coaching, but online coaching has got its own limitations because football is a contact sport. It is a team sport, and with kids you can only do basic stuff, basic training. So it has been difficult. And another point I really want to add is that if you look at Mumbai, especially with so many football coaching academies over there over here, most of us have come from a different background. I mean, we didn't have to, we don't come from a sports background per se, but we've chosen to follow this because of the love and passion we have for football, and to bring a little bit of structure in this chaotic, unstructured grassroots environment. So, even Prashant has got other qualifications, Siddharth, everybody, we didn't have to come here, but since we're here, we're trying to make a difference. But over the last 3-4 months, everything has just been like a full stop. So yeah, it's been difficult, man.
Siddharth, let's weigh in your views as well. What Ajay and what Prashant mentioned, since this is a common question, and it's going to be 3 months next week since the lockdown, 90 days since the lockdown. Let's talk about the problems there as well.
Yeah, so I completely agree with what Prashant and Ajay have also spoken about. It's something that we are also facing as an organization or as a football club or as a football academy, you could say. One thing that I've realized is we've achieved certain scenarios or certain positions before the lockdown. In terms we had reached to a certain level. There was a season coming to an end. There were a few matches left in certain leagues happening. It all of a sudden abruptly stopped. So again, the problem was basically having an effective communication with the stakeholders like parents, grounds. It's completely stopped. So we don't really know what's going on in their mind. Though we've been vocal with Google feedback forms and all those things, but we really don't know whether they'll come back to sport, when they will come back to sport. All these questions are underlying. We don't really know. We don't have answers to those questions. That's what really kind of flusters me or kind of frustrates me in terms of I don't know the answers to these questions. Even when sport resumes, would we resume to full capacity? Would we resume to 100%? Or when would we resume to 100%? So that's the question, that is unanswered. And that is where I think we as academies have not been able to know that, because obviously for the fact that sports is one of the least priorities right now in the whole pandemic case. And again, it would be for a certain period of time as well. So that is one major thing. Another, of course, big problem that we faced during this pandemic is, of course, as Prashant rightly pointed out, is the coaches' remuneration bit. Of course, for them, their whole sustenance was based on coaching and, in terms of monthly salaries and all those things. But now that the academies have stopped, they've been struggling. For 1 or 2 months, you can always sustain because you've got savings and all those things. But, after those 2 months really comes the question about sustenance and everything. So now they have switched to alternate jobs, and that's really sad to know, because for them, football was their main bread and butter. Now shifting to something else altogether has been very hard on them also. Some of them have left Mumbai altogether, gone to back to their hometowns and villages and all those things. So for us also, we feel really bad. We feel, because it's a family, it's like a team that we work together, and the fact that we cannot take care of these coaches is something that we also as an academy feel for. And we are trying our best, digital coaching, online, all those things. But again, the response hasn't been that great, because you're talking about different strata of societies that are part of your academy, right? So of course, the people who are coming from a lesser privileged background don't have access to smartphones, or don't have that necessary financial ability to spend on something else other than the regular priorities now. The roti, kapda, makan, as we talk, that's the most biggest priority right now. And so ideally, that's the thing. So I'm just hoping that when things start, it starts slowly and finally reaches to the peak, and there is no reoccurrence. That's what biggest worry as an academy or as an organization in football.
Well, all the three speaking about the problems that they've individually faced and they've seen in the lockdown. Prashant, you've been conducting a lot of webinars in these 3 months, and you've seen it looks like it's going to go online going forward until we resume normalcy. How effective are these online classes, and potential? What's the potential for strategic partnership, etc.?
So during the lockdown, most of the webinars which I conducted were for coach education. So the coach education, part of the system can definitely work online. In fact, it should be online. It's not just a temporary solution, because when you talk about balanced learning, so there has to be classroom, there has to be field, as well as there has to be some online, because that's the way to reach out to the masses. When you talk about India, India has the second highest population of internet or phone users. So most of the webinars which I did were for coach education, and this is also the time which we as an academy used to educate our own coaches, get everybody on a common platform, and plan things for the future. But when you talk about online training for children. Yes, even we are doing it. But then there is, like Ajay also mentioned, that there is a limited scope because there is only individual techniques that you can work on, and that too, it has to be. So online training is here to stay on the long term, even after everything opens up. But it is not to be there, in an isolated form. Just online training is not enough. Probably there has to be 2 field session and then 1 online session during the week once everything opens up, because that acts as a like as an assignment or to complement your field sessions. But just to get football completely online, it is not possible. It is working for now because there are things that we can do online, working on the individual techniques, but then it will definitely hit a roadblock. You cannot keep on creating content throughout the year, just for online training, because it is incomplete without the actual session and playtime on the field. It is Online training is something that is here to stay. It's not just a temporary solution, but it is just a complementing factor to the actual training on the field. It is not a substitute for the actual training on the field. So that's what online training is about. And let's see, like even Siddharth mentioned, let's hope that we don't get another peak, and let's hope that things, once they get back to normal, and I'm hoping like a few more months, and to keep the children fit, and at least to keep the children connected with the game. The online classes are temporary, working just fine. But then, like even Ajay mentioned, there's only so much that you can do online, and there is only so much content you can create.
Definitely. Well, very well added there that online trainings are not a substitute. They are complementary. They have to be complementary. Ajay, clearly, April and May is the time when kids have summer vacations, and you see maximum number of admissions then, and that is the time when the academy is booming. The financials are doing pretty well. But this time this phase was this passed away in the lockdown. Would you like to elaborate on that? How did the academy face that? How did you sustain yourself in that time?
Yeah, so see, firstly, Siddharth and Prashant both are veterans in the grassroots. I'm a newcomer relatively to them. And, April, May typically are the summer vacation months. And what we see is that, a lot of new kids come and take up the sport. And at grassroots, that is what you want. You want more kids to play, more kids to participate. And it becomes a hook because, I've seen in the past 2 years, and I'm sure both of them have seen through their several years of experience, that a brand new kid who's never played football comes, he likes the game, he or she likes the game, and then you have the continuity, he or she takes the sport forever. And that is the exact definition of grassroots. It's more participation. And now, since we didn't have it, and moreover, June, July, because most of us, have our coaching sessions happening at turfs. So grounds, whenever we coach at grounds, June, July is out of question because of the heavy Mumbai monsoon. But even at the turf, you see a very low turnout. So in terms of pure numbers, it totally dwindles after the summer vacation. Summer vacations, you see a peak and then it completely goes down. So June, July anyways becomes, June, July, August anyways becomes months of sustenance, because इतना peak देखा है summer vacation में, उसके बाद में completely नीचे आता है, and then you build up again, once the monsoon goes away. So it has been very difficult to sustain. And as both of them are mentioning, although we are asset light in terms of we don't own any infrastructure, we don't have any major assets in that way, but our assets are our coaches. And with teams not being very large, we are not professional football clubs, it is like a family. So it is absolutely terrible that we can't really pay the coaches and even the support staff who are there in the background. And that is what it has been for us. And this has been the story of sports startups everywhere in the country. It's just completely halted.
Yeah, very well added there. If you're paying attention, guys, now the intensity of the questions rises, and we're slowly getting there. Let's put Siddharth on the spot. I mean,
Go-
we have a long
are you
time.
putting a GoFundMe link over here?
I wish I
Is
could.
there a is there a hamper that we win at the end of this?
But Siddharth, all of us have been discussing on offline, and we know that grassroots is the last priority. There's lack of recognition in the sporting sector for grassroots. A couple of questions regarding that as well. But before, lack of support from the government, lack of support, financial packages announced, economic relief packages announced, but how, the lack of support from the government. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So the thing is basically we've had, there have been some financial packages, of course, announced for MSMEs and everything. It's basically loans, Again, talking about loans, we as organizations, right now loans are mainly for expansion projects. Right now for us, it's all about sustenance. Expansion is something that will only come after a certain sustenance is achieved. So we are kind of tottering towards sustenance, and we're talking about expansion. Loan again has to be repaid, and everything else is also there attached to it. So in terms of that, government has given support, but again, that is in the form of loans to MSMEs and everything. Unfortunately, we as a football organization, considering the fact that we are not in the expansion state, we don't really seem that as a viable option right now. Like something which is right now the state government is doing in terms of mission restart or the mission starting again, in terms of what is going to be that for football. So that is something we are in the dark in terms of that whole thing. And as an organization, we are waiting for that sort of effective communication. Even a small communication matters a lot, in terms of what could be done, how could we, go ahead in terms of the plan ahead, in terms of the roadmap ahead. All those things matter, which is something I believe that that has not happened on a regular basis. We played a lot of leagues, we played a lot of tournaments. Again, there is a talk about the next tournaments coming in, but we don't even know when that is going to happen. I'm not mentioning any leagues as such, but any league that's going to come up in the future, we really don't know the timeline. So as clubs, we are in the dark. If they say in December that the league is going to be held in February, we are not even prepared to play the league right now. If they tell us right now, we may probably have an idea. We can start preparing ourselves to that level. I know from their end also it's that difficult because again, it's very uncertain. I mean, we are in a scenario that is completely unexpected, and it's quite huge in terms of that. So unfortunately, it's a big phenomenon. As an academy, we just want some communication on a regular basis, and we just want to know whom could we communicate with. That's not happened. So we found out solutions. Prashant's done that with this club. Ajay has done that with this club, and unfortunately, we have to go and go into ourselves, introspect, and find those solutions out because there has not been anyone that we can speak to on a regular basis, and that is what I thought could be the thing. I'm not saying a government as such, but it could be anyone that we could just communicate who's from a an organization or an association responsible for the growth of sport or football in particular.
True that. Prashant, let's get your thoughts on the lack of recognition in the sporting sector that grassroots face. It's always the last priority, as we've asked a lot of people. Can you elaborate on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, continuing from where Siddharth left, definitely, like we know, grassroots structure is very unorganized, and like say for example, the three of us have a registered entity, and we are registered with the whichever body that is concerned as a private limited LLP or whatever. But if you see, we are just the minority. 90% of the coaching that's going on is by the coaches are self-employed, and they have their own bunch, and that's the majority. So they are not registered anywhere. They have either just a proprietorship, or they just take money in their own personal accounts or as a cash. So that's what though our footprint on the ground is huge, but it is unorganized because most of them are not registered. So even for government to step in and say, okay, there are like, at least a lakh or 2 lakh academies, which are, for them, they want to see those kind of numbers. Okay, there are these 2 lakh academies across Maharashtra, which might be facing a problem, but that's not the case. Though there are 2 lakh academies on the ground, or there are 2 lakh centers, I'm just giving a random number, but if there are X number of coaching centers going on, but probably only 10-15% are registered. So even to government, to step in and consider us seriously is difficult, because we are an unorganized sector. And then, Siddharth was mentioning, usually all the companies, they take up loans, and whenever there is an investor's infusion, it's usually for a growth and for scaling up. But what has happened is, because of this unprecedented pandemic that we are facing now, all those things really, when we talk to when we talk to potential investors, or people who are really ready to come in as stakeholders, we tell them, look, all these things really look good on the textbook, but the reality is that, like Siddharth mentioned, survival is one thing. So, the ship is sinking. First, you fix the ship. That's priority. And then you use the rest of the money to propel yourself ahead. So, that's something that is the reality of the situation. You cannot just take something out of the textbook. Acha, ye paisa idhar hi jana chahiye. But like Siddharth has mentioned, taking up a loan again becomes a liability for the company. It's not a relief. It's another liability on your head as soon as you take up the loan. So that's something which is a tricky situation. There is no certainty as such, and not that we are dealing, not that any one of us are like, super financial experts, where we can. So, that's the thing about startup. You know a little bit of everything, and you are the decision maker when it comes to everything of the company, be it, office ka डस्टबिन चेंज करने से लेके बड़ा बड़ा फाइनेंशियल डिसीजन, एवरीथिंग, in a small organization there are only 1 or 2 people who call the shots. And it has to be, there has to be a little bit of more clarity. Unfortunately, it's not there, and it's not only amongst us, but overall, if there is no clarity as such.
And I would, if you are listening to this episode and you can see how it is going, I mean, we could talk for this. We could talk for the next few months, and there would be no stopping point. But these are some of the important things that needed to be out there and off on record. Ajay, there's one thing. We are in a crisis situation, and even when things are normal, there is some disorganization at the top. We've heard of all of it. Could you elaborate on that?
यार सबसे पहले तो मैं नाम चेंज कर रहा हूँ, फोर्जा इंडिया से मैं आत्मनिर्भर एफसी करने वाला हूँ बिकॉज सबका सिचुएशन वही है. इट शुड बी आत्मनिर्भर गोरेगांव, आत्मनिर्भर विलापार्ला, आत्मनिर्भर थाने. That is what it is. But jokes aside, I think even Prashant touched on this. The accreditation itself is expensive. To play the junior and sub-junior I League, again, Siddharth can give a better explanation to this because he's actually put teams in the junior and sub-junior I League. It is very expensive. And okay, you look at it from this point, ki chalo, I have somehow managed to save some money through other coaching revenues or whatever, because it is quite expensive. Then you put it in I League or the under 13, under 15 and under 17 I Leagues. 3 team hai. There is no return on investment. There is no ROI because wo jo paisa gaya to gaya, absolutely gone. And having said that, even the exposure itself is very minimal. It's hardly, you don't get to play a lot of games also at that level. So, a lot of clubs have to withdraw. A lot of clubs, individual owners, academy owners will have to look at other avenues because it doesn't make any financial sense to put any money into the youth sector. So typically, the evolution is grassroots to youth to elite. But with the current ecosystem, even before the pandemic, it looks like we can never dream ahead of grassroots. Grassroots mein hi stuck hona, and for no fault of ours, basically. It's a very expensive affair, which I don't understand because one side you claim that you want to develop football and India will play the 2026 World Cup, 2030 World Cup, and then you don't have any supporting leagues and tournaments to support the growth of these players over there. So it's very hypocritical कि एक side में तुम ये बोलते हो but reality is completely different. So it's very funny, and both Prashant and Siddharth can actually elaborate more than me, because मैं तो grassroots में अभी फंसा हूँ, never gone to the youth level as of now.
And Ajay, like I said earlier, before we started, that the intensity is about to go up. It has. And Siddharth, there's, carrying on from where we left with Ajay, the ROI expense. Not everybody can afford that. Many have to depend on investors and sponsors. And most importantly, most of them have to burn their own money, take money out of their own pockets. Could you also elaborate on your experience on that? What have you faced so far?
You want me to answer that, or
Yeah,
Ajay?
Siddharth. No, Siddharth, that's for you. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you're right. I mean, as an entrepreneur, we've always taken that risk. We've invested our own self savings and everything else into the whole project, and that's something I've accepted it as a part and parcel. When we've chosen football as a sport and to develop that sport somewhere, of course, that risk element is there, which Ajay also rightly pointed out, and Prashant also talked about the fact that we have a risk when we are into the sport, and as an entrepreneur, I have accepted that risk, and somewhere I put in that money. I don't have any problems about putting in that money if I know there is a roadmap ahead. I know in terms of what are the leagues that I'm going to play in the year, what are the matches that are. But what we have done is we've invested in something where there is no structure till now. There is no proper structure. There may be a youth I league or youth sub junior league happening some year in February, some year in April, some year it happens in March. It all depends a lot on a lot of other things as well. So unfortunately, because there is no calendar around it, it's become very difficult for us to plan our year. One good positive thing I would like to add in here is over the last 2-3 years, we've seen some sort of a calendar finally setting in. There is a local youth leagues happening, and then there is the district association organizing the Yuva President League. There is AIF organizing its junior league. So finally, there is a small calendar that's coming in. But I would say, unfortunately for me, I've invested money before that, but now it's the time that I'm reaping the fruits to a certain extent. So that's great. I'm not unhappy about that. But as I said, the risks are always there. As even right now, for example, I've invested certain amount in the company. I know that I have to get it back at some point, but I really don't know when that will happen. But I've not thought about that right now. For me, the primary priority right now is about how should I restart? What should I do when it restarts? Whether we will get to our full capacity or not. Because if all those things are not going to happen, it is as good as the whole academy ceases to exist. Because even when things start, you may not have that many kids coming for the academy. Sport again is seen with a precautionary measure. We can't make kids wear masks and come and play. You have to ensure that they are playing, they are tested, and we don't have those many things. Many parents talk to us about the fact that how Bundesliga and Premier League does it, but they kind of fail to realize. Of course, we are grassroots clubs. We don't really have that sort of financial capability to fund testing happening before the training, after the training. Ensuring that every kid and then there is always that one worry of that one kid or one coach getting affected, and then we're coming onto the news. This academy started training, and that's how it's going to be showcased in the media, unfortunately. So as an academy for us, we really don't know what should we do even when we restart. If there is some sort of guidelines to that, then we kind of know, okay, this is the guidelines. This is what we have to do. These many PPE kits would be sponsored or given across to every academy or whatever. All those things really need to come into fore, because it's not going to be, Prasad, as easy as it seems. That October they just put a small notice that all academies can start, and then we just start the very next day. I mean, as responsible academy owners, we can't just do that. I mean, because there is no sort of safety precautions. The unfortunate bit is what I'm really worried about is if they say that we just have to wait till the vaccination comes in, that's like another 10 months or 12 months away, which really means we really don't have a roadmap. That is the biggest worry right now as an academy owner, as an organizer. Instead, I know, of course, the self-finance part is always there. We funded it, but that's something, of course, if things start, then only that can, come back. If it doesn't start, then, that has gone down the drain. That's okay. That's still fine.
Very well put, Siddharth. And Prashant, from where Siddharth mentioned about parents, the outlook of parents reacting to this situation. Now, you've done a lot of, you're coming up with a lot of online content on Thane City FC, the app. for our viewers who are going to watch this episode, we will put certain links in the description below. But Prashant, coming back to the question, parents approach you all because we are facing such uncertain times, as Siddharth mentioned, how uncertain it can get, and with all the testing, with all the precautions coming in. Let's talk about that. How many have you faced? How have you been responding to them, these parents?
Right. So, talking about restart, I mean, for now, it is certain that the parents and are not interested, and neither are any one of us interested in restarting and putting the children's, health on the line, or even our coaches' health on the line. So, talking about the present situation, it is very well understood that none of the academies nor the parents want to rush into the restart. But like Siddharth mentioned, we are just waiting for the guideline, and the guideline has to come well in advance, so that infrastructure and people start planning the restart. It cannot happen like, okay, we start from tomorrow and somebody goes online on air at 8 p.m. and says ki 12 baje se sab kuch start ho jayega. It cannot work that way. It has to come well in advance, and it has to be a proper plan. So I'm talking about when we talk about the parents and once we restart. So the thing is, it's very important on how we place ourselves. See, grassroots academies are our aim is not to create players for the national team, because that's where most of the academies they just go off the track. The aim of the grassroots ecosystem, not only with children, with anyone, is you increase the participation level. And here, when we are talking about children, and your player is a byproduct, you don't work for it. Once your participation is there, because कितना भी प्रोफेशनल होने दो academy, there are no other बाकी भी जो elements लगते हैं, they are missing in the ecosystem to create a national level player. Even if I hire 5 pro licensed coaches in my academy tomorrow, I will not be able to create an India player, because there are so many other factors that have to come in. So here academies, I mean, most of the academies now, they are already in on the track. But where we place ourselves is like we are a part of a child's holistic growth and a very integral part of the child's character development. So after we restart, it's not just parents are sending their children ki haan beta, just go and you might become a professional player. It's not that. We are an integral part of that child's well-being. Because especially in Mumbai, gone are the days, pehle when we were young, during our summer vacations, हम लोग नीचे जाके building से चिल्लाते थे कि अजय सिद्धार्थ नीचे आओ, and that is gone. Because अभी कोई भी building के नीचे आके चिल्ला रहा नहीं, and nobody is calling other children. That culture is gone. Everybody thinks अगर मेरे building में कोई नीचे आके बच्चा चिल्लाएगा अपने दूसरे दोस्त को, people will think कि ये क्या, they would really ridicule them कि ये कैसे घर से आते ये लोग and all that. And nowadays they'll just WhatsApp coming, no, not coming, WhatsApp group पे चले जाते हैं. And other than that, there is no infrastructure as well. We used to play in the parking lots, and also right now there is no infrastructure as well. So we are in a position where parents come to us because we are the substitute for that culture which is missing right now, especially in metros like Mumbai. So parents are paying us to get their children to play, and they are paying for the infrastructure, because right now there is no infrastructure, and then there is no culture of children going down and playing. So here it is very important, like as soon as it's good that many academies, even before the pandemic, place themselves in such a way with the parents, like, yes, we are a part of a child's holistic development and an integral part of a child's character development and well-being. So with that being said, we have to make that foundation more solid. So once things open up, of course their first priority for the parents are going to be schools, but the second or the third priority, instead of going to the malls, or instead of going to restaurants, or instead of going to the vacation to Europe, They would rather, channelize that budget to something that's a part of their child's well-being. And grassroots academies are, they are in that space whenever parents think of their budgeting. So it is very important for academies to communicate in that way, and also to act in a way that, we are actually impacting a child's overall character development. So that's, I think,
yeah.
the way we have to exit.
Yeah, Prashant, very well put there. For the parents that will be watching this, that there's some part of the answer to your questions, some solution. Well, we are very close to ending the episode, and we've tackled a majority of the questions. But let's get Ajay in here. And Ajay, now this is the talk of the town, you can say, or it came to me, via some conversations. There are no clauses in the contracts of youth players, when they sign for professional clubs. I mean, let's say, for example, tomorrow you're working so well, laying the foundation for a player from Forza India Academy. Tomorrow he goes on to sign a professional contract with the club. There's no clause that, gives certain amount of money to the grassroots academy. Let's elaborate a bit on that as
well. I think we're still 30, 40 years away from that, because overall our ecosystem has not matured enough, like European system, or like South America for that matter. I think the only one who's actually getting this done is probably Ranjit Bajaj, but even I don't know if that's true or false. But yeah, definitely something to look forward in the future. Right now, of course, the priority is to safely restart sport, and eventually, as we get into it, I'm sure that there would be this plan in place. But yeah, it's like it's a very wishful thought. It's a fantastic thought, because it gives every academy its due credit for developing a player. But at grassroots, like even Prashant was mentioning earlier, for us it is just participation. Even I told you, like in the summer months, we just want more kids to take up the sport. And if we are doing that, we're doing our jobs, because this is the pool of talent that will eventually trickle down. The player is made, that trickles down, goes to the youth sector, and forward, so on and so forth. So for us, all we need, I think, is support from the government bodies, the local authorities, to promote football, to promote the sport. Another point I would like to add is that most of us are now dependent on turfs, because we don't have any grounds, we don't have any open grounds. The ones that we have aren't maintained, and there is a lot of politics around it, whatever. But for us, we're dependent on these turf companies who have leased out a space and made an artificial ground, and we lease it out from them. So that's how the business model typically works. Now, we don't know after the pandemic how many turfs are going to shut down, and that is also a question mark. I try to speak to the vendors that I work with, and it's quite difficult for them also, because more than coaching, they're reliant on the pay and play model, where you have groups of people coming and playing, renting it out for an hour, 2 hours, corporate parties and stuff like that. So even for them, their cash flow has completely gone down. So God knows how many turfs are going to exist post the pandemic, and I think this is where the federation can come in and give us a ground to play in, or develop a ground, or use the existing infrastructure that they have, and lease it out to academies for a nominal rate, if not for free. Because even right now, the large grounds that we have in the city of Mumbai are absolutely expensive to lease out for training.
well. Ajay, listening to you and listening to all of you, I cannot even imagine what the grassroots academies are facing. Very close to the end. Siddharth, India hosted the under 17 men's World Cup, and it is about to host the under 17 women's World Cup. But the grassroots system still remains in tatters. Isn't that an irony? I mean, the ones that are responsible for producing those players are not backed. Isn't that an irony?
See, we could look at this in two ways. One I would say in a positive manner is about the fact that today we are having more responsible people entering the grassroots sports industry, which is very, very good to see. Today, for example, of course, Prashant, Ajay, a lot of other people also who have entered the industry are taking up responsibility. One major thing what I feel is there should be more organized clubs that needs to come into the grassroots structure. We have a lot of standalone coaching centers, which I think is good for participation per se, but at the end of the day, what happens is, they're not able to take it to the next level in terms of progression. So the kids really don't progress, to play the major leagues, because again, as standalone academies or clubs, they're not able to create football in a structured manner, not having the right support staff, maybe having only one coach for all age categories, all those things, not even an assistant coach. Again, these standalone academies need to really be figured out and need to really be given a structure, so that only there are, so what I believe is in quality. If you even just have 20 quality clubs to start off with is better than having 200 clubs or 500 clubs in Mumbai. That's, I don't think, is not the right way to go. Having 20 clubs in accredited system, which also seeps into district level clubs. Today, if, for example, if say a FIFA under 17 team or India men's under 17 team wants to identify players, they don't really know which club to approach, because there are 300, 400 clubs in India. Everyone is saying that this player is my player. It becomes very difficult for a club to, for a AIFF, or for that matter, for anyone to identify, okay, where is the player coming from, or which are the clubs I need to go to scout players. So the first thing I would say is to get a system into say Mumbai football, into say anywhere into district football where clubs get accredited. So having 20 clubs, and then new clubs who want to come fulfill those licensing criteria. Again, unfortunately or fortunately, we could say the licensing criteria is somewhere very too stringent. You could probably have some sort of relaxations for the first new clubs, or they're doing that already. I know that AIFF is doing a lot of work in terms of relaxing rules for the new clubs, but trying to create more relaxation in terms of, say, for example, AED machine. You could probably say that you could rent it out in the first year, and then maybe you can buy it out in the upcoming years or something when the clubs are sustaining it on their own. So small things will matter. So as I said, once these recognition comes to these clubs get licensed under a district association. Tomorrow, when the under 17 or the under 19 coach wants to come to a particular district, all he has to do is just announce a trial and invite only those registered club and their players. This gives like a benefit to the registered clubs, because they're getting directly into the giving their players a chance to get a direct scout or a trial into a under 17 team. Now today, if you see, most of the under 17 players are either from the AIFF regional academy or are from the teams that play in the ISL or the I League. You don't really have grassroots clubs kind of contributing. Though all of us have under 18 teams or under 16 teams, we really don't contribute to the under 14 national team or the under 16. We don't really have players playing for that. That's only because of the fact that even when they come, they really don't know which club to approach. We may have players, even we don't know how to showcase them. So as I said, if there are licensing criteria which are, of course, a smaller version of what AIFF does for the sub-junior and the junior leagues, but a smaller accreditation criteria for the local clubs. And today, say a Forza, Thane City, or for CFCI could be accredited under that, and only those accredited clubs play. And something I just want to put in a smaller point is what I tried with this year. We tried that in the MDFF IPL was having an elite league of 13 teams on the top. We are planning to make it a double-legged kind of next year, but the idea was basically to identify those 13 or 14 clubs which are having a structure in place. Now, what I mean by structure is a proper hierarchy, having a CEO running it or whatever, the smaller things. I'm not talking about like a multinational company, of course, but I'm talking it about like a smaller structure, having coaches for every age group, having a proper training ground to play with, or at least access. And, you need people like that. Standalone coaching centers for me is not the future. I mean, they need to either get themselves organized into of course, first of all, an organization under the Companies Act, whether they become an LLP or a private limited or something like that. And then if they're not able to do that, then they need to really figure out a way whereby they can either get accredited to an academy which is already existing under the accredited academies under the district level or something like that. Then only, Prasad, your question gets answered about, how does grassroots organization get that relevant significance? That's where I feel that can happen.
Definitely. So after such a long discussion and answering all these questions, like we started the episode, there's one more question for all three of you. We started with the problem. Now, as entrepreneurs and people, surviving on their own, battling on their own, this is like a one-man show. It starts with you. You might have come up with solutions. And what are the probable solutions? What are the possible solutions to some of these problems? Post COVID-19. Prashant, can we start with you?
Yeah, sure. So every company or every organization is going through a lot, not only in the sports sector, but even in the other industries as well. So here, because the thing is, we are so dependent on children coming onto the field and playing. It's not that, like Ajay mentioned, it's not dipped. It's just come down to zero. But here, it will be very interesting to see what the future holds, because right now there are also many people who are taking keen interest, and there would be some this opens up an avenue to have strategic partnerships. In strategic partnerships, I mean, even probably having an academy association, in which there are, like Siddharth mentioned, if we identify even 15-20 academies within Mumbai, we can have like a small, like not an association, but like a small, I don't know, whatever you call it, give it a more subtle word. But then there needs to be a support system, because if it's not coming from top, at least we should be able to support each other in a more organized way. Because as of now, what's happening is we just call each other and we just either vent it out, or we ask like, what are you up to, and we share ideas. But those things have to come to an organized platform. So and that is something that I think the lockdown would come, lockdown ka ek effect hoga ye, that some of the academies can come together and form some strategic partnerships, and in which even future, if there are some future unseen events like these, that okay, there is something somewhere you can go to, and even some development projects can be managed via the association or whatever you call it. Apart from that, yes, moving ahead, there is a lot of uncertainty. Nobody can just point it clearly like, acha ye ho sakta hai ya ye nahi ho sakta hai, because uncertainty, even in the sense of when do we restart, we have no clue when everything would restart. That's the level of uncertainty. We don't know whether it's going to be 2 months, 6 months, or 10 months. So that's the level of uncertainty. But yes, it is going to be the digital platforms that the academies and the organizations are going to work on and exploit for the moment, and try to increase their digital footprint as much as possible, because that's one thing that is going to dictate, that is going to be a major factor moving ahead. So digital footprint ko broad base karna, and to increase your digital footprint is something that this current time can help organizations focus on. And because there is so much uncertainty, trust me, even I have no I don't have a set solution for anything, because there is absolutely no, I mean, it can just only be a guesswork. But strategic partnerships, I think, will work, and the digital footprint. So I think only two things that the academies can work on right now in my perspective.
So that's Prashant offering some probable solutions. Ajay, can you weigh in here as well? And Siddharth, then you, and we can conclude the episode.
Sure, man. I mean, the thing is, once everything restarts, as I mentioned earlier, if we can get some grounds, if the local corporators and politicians can help us to get some grounds developed for football, for training, at specific times, that would definitely help. Because personally, I know that we struggle with getting 11-a-side grounds in Mumbai. It's either 5-a-side, 7-a-side for the kids. So that could be one possible solution. And yes, during this time, because of the uncertainty, as Prashant had already mentioned, that football or sport is part of an overall holistic development for a child. Apart from school and apart from what you learn at home, I think there are a lot of lessons you learn on a ground through sport. So this is an ideal time for ed tech companies who are doing really well, the likes of Byju's, or the likes of Ronnie Screwwala's company. I mean, these are companies who are heavily invested, or who have a lot of funding, and they are pumping out with a lot of content. And I think apart from academics, they can add sport also to it. I know Prashant has become Atmanirbhar, and he started his own app, and he's been releasing a lot of good content. So it would definitely add on. So I think it's about time that parents and the entire ecosystem also sees sport, which has been always marginalized. Ki, yaar, sports is a waste of time. Sports se kya sikhega tu? Padhai kar. Now that change was slowly happening, that now people are a little more opened up to the idea of sport being a part of their children's lives. I think now it is a time to cement it, and it would really help if these companies who are there, because schools can only do a certain extent, but these companies who have a lot of educational material with them, and you've seen the shift because of the pandemic. A lot of children are now taking up online classes. If sports can become an additional package to what they're doing, nothing like it. So I hope that this podcast reaches the ears of Ronnie Screwvala and Byju's. And over and above, as Prashant mentioned, like, if tomorrow, if there is an association formed, we'll always look back at this podcast Zoom meeting that Prasad was the guy who initiated who laid the stones for this association, because it is important that like-minded people with the common goal towards development work together, and it can also help in actually a lot of issues, like issues that we face on a day-to-day basis, issues, or how we can help get the federations to help us even better, instead of individual owners or a couple of coaches going there. If we go as an association, it might add that impact. So I mean, over and above all of this, if we get investors, if we get sponsors, it just helps to ease the choco block that's been caused because of the pandemic.
Well, definitely, all of us on the call, all of us doing this resonate with each and everyone's view. And Siddharth, let's put you as well, and then concluding with a few lines.
Yeah, I think many of the probable solutions have been rightly pointed out by Prashant and Ajay, and I completely agree with most of them. As I said, I think we should look at differentiating this solution into two factors: one off-field and one on-field. Off-field for me is a lot about having effective communication with all the stakeholders. They're all, say the coaches, they're all psychologically deprived right now. They're all mentally, it's been draining for them. As much positivity as we can spread in these times really matter. We are in this together, things will restart, all these things, not just for face value, but if we really mean it and if we really have good, crisp and right conversations with them, I think that would really go a lot in a proper mindset when it restarts. It also matters because when tomorrow things restart, the coaches have to be in the right mindset to coach the kids. It just can't be that the coaches get up after 4.5 months of complete break, or time when it's a void kind of, where they're not a vacuum, where they're not taught, and all of a sudden after 4.5 months they have to get back to the ground and coach. So they may be interested a lot, but they need to really plan that as well mentally, because these months have been draining for them. So as I said, it's a lot about effective communication on off field, talking with the parents, talking with the players, talking with everyone who's involved. I'll give you an example of the under 18 players, especially. For them, these were the years, or every year matters because they're really reaching the final years of their footballing. A possibility to reach professionally as such. So for them, it's been very mentally draining. Everybody thought, no, this is the year where I'm going to prove myself, as a 16-year-old, as a 17-year-old. But unfortunately for them, the season's not happening. So for them staying at home, they have started to, binge eat and do all the wrong things that they were not doing about 6-7 months ago. So we as an academy or an organization are trying to effectively communicate with them, speak with them, tell them the right things they can do at home and still keep themselves fit. You can't really expect a 17-year-old to play a 90-minute game as soon as the lockdown ends, because he's not going to be physically fit to play that game. So for him, he can still build stamina staying at home. He can still remain positive. For me, that's the most important thing off field. And on field, if I could say, once things resume, we'll also need to renegotiate our deals with the turf owners and the infrastructure, because for us, as Prashant and Ajay also pointed out, infrastructure is the main cost. So again, when things start, when we do not have that much occupancy, we can't really afford the same amount of, the amount of fees to pay for the ground. So we have to still figure out a way where we can have to renege the deals or figure out how we can reduce the overheads or the costs, and also effectively talk to the staff as well, because we have a lot of sports management students who are working with us. They have invested a lot of money in doing their courses and everything. For them also, it's been mentally draining. So we again have to showcase the fact that there is going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, and you need to really sustain yourself till then. I know it's going to be tough, but if we are together, we can really help out, And we've been doing that with our coaches also, those coming from a background that's a lower background. We've been trying to help them out, talk with them. We're trying to figure out whether we can get some people to support them. I've also chipped in from my side. So as I said, it's going to be together. And that's the only way out of this. Till such time that there is no sustainable solution to it or a vaccination. That's the final solution.
So very well put, all three of you. And before we end this episode, there are a few lines that I would like to add in this episode, that we do not mean to demean anyone. We do not mean, we are not economic experts, or we are not experts at that level, but these are some problems that have been going on throughout these years, and in the pandemic it has got even worse. There are many more who are facing this problem. The whole agenda of this episode was to raise some important questions that need to be addressed, and addressed soon. We all say that we are in this together, like Siddharth correctly pointed out, but it shouldn't be for the face value. You should actually mean it. I hope you love this episode, because watch it over again, look at the questions, try and reach out to as many as academies possible, guys. And if you face the similar problems, we can have a continuation of the series here, and we can get as many people as want on the Pan and Kavyu podcast. But Prashant, Ajay and Siddharth, it's good to initiate this conversation, because this is something that needed to be addressed. And this is something I was also reviewing in the lockdown as well, and I wanted to get in touch with all of you. So the small conversations that we have offline has helped initiate this podcast, and I would like to thank you. I would like to thank you for coming on the Pan and Kavyu podcast, taking out time from your schedules and helping me make this episode. So I hope this goes out to the right people. I hope this reaches as many people as possible, and I hope we can be that voice of reason that we want to be. So here's your host Prasad signing out with Prashant, Ajay and Siddharth on this episode of the Pan and Kavyu podcast.